beyond the algorithm, what future for Arabic and cultural narratives and AI? As artificial intelligence continues to transform how we communicate, learn, and share our story, it also challenges us to ensure that the Arabic voices and the rich cultural identities behind them are not lost in translation. Joining me today, little bits. I'm just gonna have to sing, like I said in the beginning. Joining me today are three innovators who embody that mission. Fatima Alkaabi, an Emirati inventor and one of the region's youngest technology pioneers, whose work reflects how innovation and identity can go hand in hand. Mikey Muhanna, co-founder and CEO of afikra, an organization championing Arab thought and creativity through open intellectual conversations and acknowledged exchange. And last but not least, Yara Hassan of NaTakallam, a social enterprise connecting displaced individuals with global learners through language and culture. Welcome to you all. Fatma, I'd like to begin with you, please.
Sure.
As a young inventor, how do you see AI transforming the process of invention and creativity among the Arab youth?
First, good afternoon. Salam alaikum. I hope you all are doing well. I'm very excited to be here at the summit. I've always wanted to come to the museum, but I never get a chance. So it's a great opportunity to be here. To answer your question, I think as Arab youth, we're very lucky, alhamdulillah, at least in the UAE, to have the opportunities to innovate and be creative in our different industries. But I think with AI, we kind of have a superpower now. We have a buddy to ask. We have a mentor to help us and support us and guide us in the questions that we have. When I first started inventing at the age of 10, I didn't have anyone to help. I would go up to my parents and ask them questions, and they would always guide me to books. Read books, watch TV, watch YouTube, I guess, try to get your answers. But today, my younger sister could just ask, ChatGPT a quick question, get an answer. So I think as youth who are interested in innovation and tech, we have in any industry, we have a superpower today that we could use AI to guide us and help us. Another thing that I love about AI is it's a judgment-free zone. So at least any typical Arab family, sometimes we feel judged by our parents, our peers about the things that we want to do. And I think what's cool about AI is I can explore anything I like without being judged. And that's something I really enjoy, asking questions without feeling scared. If anything, the answers I get empower me to ask more and to explore more. And at the end, I think with AI, we have the possibility to learn anything from anywhere in the world. I come from Al Ain, which is an hour away from here, away from the city. I didn't have resources growing up there to be able to do the things I wanted, not until recently. So now I don't have to worry about that. Anywhere I am, I can get the information that I need and the help that I need.
Which about that and therapy. I think this is the big metaphor. AI is a superpower and help us draw a slice in every sector. Thank you for that. Mikey, is my voice so low?
Your voice is. I think the microphones need to be turned up tremendously.
Hello? I think that's better. Let's jump right in. Tell me about Afikra. It celebrates Arab thought and storytelling. Do you think AI can ever be a reliable curator of culture, or will it always lack the nuance and context that human stories tell? Now you have
I can project. I used to be a public school teacher. I can project, so I will project. Largely, I'm a pessimist. I'm largely a pessimist, and I think the recording needs a microphone. Okay. Um, I'm largely a pessimist. So, if anyone has been like a data person, the idea of garbage in, garbage out is something I think about all the time. I use AI for afikra on a daily basis, if not hourly basis, and am reminded constantly how bad it is for a couple of reasons and how persistently bad it will continue to be um, because of the amount of garbage that is being fed. So I'll make 2 points that I can sort of reflect on for the rest of today. One is that there's so much garbage when it comes to stuff about the Arab world and about our heritage. And AI is trained on that. and it spews it out. Some objectively wrong, just dates and facts that are wrong. Some subjectively and intentionally wrong, that are like just born out of racism and that type of thing, and some wrong, but subjectively and unintentionally wrong. And so part of our work is to be able to create stuff that's not garbage, not to train AI, because I don't think that that is like what our job is as humanity, is to train AI. That is, I guess, a positive byproduct of what we're doing. Um, but that's like one of the reasons that I think it's so bad. The other reason that I think it's so bad is that, and this is where I think you and I disagree, respectfully, is that I don't think it's a superpower. I think that the same way that when you don't like, if you break your knee and you're in the hospital, that leg atrophies really quickly, right? You didn't break your quad muscle, but the quad atrophies immediately. The calf atrophies immediately because we stop using these muscles. So your little sister, hypothetically, is not activating any of these core muscles of curiosity, of research, of finding stuff, of getting stuff wrong. Like the idea of machine learning, we celebrate machine learning. Oh my God, look at these LLMs. Look how quickly they're finding answers. That used to be us. That could be us. And the problem is that we are celebrating the fact that all of this, this just like fundamental work that we used to do, we're not doing, and we're giving up, and we're saying, "Oh no, this is the stupid stuff. AI can do the stupid stuff." But then when it comes to the big stuff, we have no muscles. We have none of. I mean, we don't walk around the block, and so how are we expected to run the marathon? We're not even close to running the marathon. Um, and so for that, so much of what I think afikra is doing is trying to promote the fundamental, like intellectual curiosity needed to stop creating so much garbage, so much slop. And we are going to be the generators of slop, not AI. We are going to do it because we are not going to have any of the raw skills. And so that, for me, I'm very pessimistic about it. And this is like call me a canary in the coal mine.
Mike, you did bring up a very valid point. It's a really important one also because at the newsroom, 10 years ago, I would translate, transcribe, record, and actually report and find the research myself. Nowadays, it's all done via ChatGPT, so that's a valid point. I do want to hear from Yara because language is used as a bridge. NaTakallam was founded to connect people through language and culture. Tell me, how can AI, from translation engines to virtual classrooms, strengthen that mission without losing the human touch?
Well, thank you so much. If we can possibly put on the presentation. My name is Yara. I work with NaTakallam, an organization that connects learners all over the world with displaced people. Displaced people can teach their native language. Arabic was the first language we introduced. We have huge numbers of displaced people, and very, very little percentage of those people are settled, and they have stable income, and they have a life. And the majority of these are not yet settled, and they don't have income, but they are highly educated, and they have access to technology, to internet. And that's where NaTakallam showed up, started creating virtual classrooms to build these bridges. It's not only about language learning, it's about the connection. So we all know that language and culture are deeply integrated. They are deeply influenced by each other. And culture definitely influences our psyche as human beings. The way we are born, where we are born, it affects the way we think. But what we don't know, that language also affects our neurology. Our brains have pathways, depends on what language is our native. And Arabic as a language, we need to use both hemispheres of the brain to actually produce Arabic because it relies heavily on context and structure. Languages like German or English, they rely heavily on structure rather than context. but Arabic relies heavily on context. Now, AI can support with the learning. I agree with what both of my panelist colleagues said, but the AI can help with the support learning, can give us access, can give us material that's a structure. But the human touch will always be needed. Humans should be at the center of the learning because they give us context. We have lived experiences, humor, cultural nuances. We cannot do that with AI. AI doesn't have the emotional intelligence, not yet, to give us all of that. Even in the future, if we think about AI, it will still lack what the humans can actually bring to that equation. So yeah, that's what NaTakallam does. We try to use AI as a tool, to use technology as a tool to help human, not to replace them.
Past few days, we've been hearing a lot of how AI is going to help us and not replace us. It's going to accelerate our work, it's going to help refine it, but it's never going to replace humans. Moving on to you, Fatima, I'd like to know a little bit about how AI systems depend on the data they're trained on, how we can encourage more Arabic language databases, data sets, and innovation rooted in our culture.
Okay, perfect. When I first read this question, I thought we should do an exercise together because I can tell everyone's a little sleepy. So I prepared some slides with me today. Let's see if we can show them on the screen. I'm changing your slides now. Yeah. Let's give it a second. I imagined a bigger screen, so I hope you guys can see what's wrong with these photos with me, but let's see if we can change it. Yeah. Okay. So before coming here, I went to some of the most popular models that we use every day and asked them to produce an image of an Emirati family sitting at home. Okay. So you see the first photo from ChatGPT, just typical Emirati family with a son and a daughter. And the second photo from Nano Banana from Gemini, bigger family, grandparents, parents, kids. I'd like you to look at the photos a little bit and tell me if you could spot anything wrong with it. Just take a mental note of anything that you see. I'll give you a few seconds. On my way here from Abu Dhabi, I spotted, I think, 6 or 7 AI-generated billboards that all are garbage to me because they don't look like us. So, okay, I give you a few seconds. Now let's see. Next. Yeah, it's not switching. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, here we go. First image, other than the fact that they look so AI, we've got messed up Arabic text in the background. We have a Della on display. Do you know Della, the thing we put coffee in? We never have it on display on the shelf at home. I don't know why it's in the back. The boy is not wearing an Emirati kandora, and the little girl is wearing abaya, which is not the typical outfit a young girl would wear in our culture. Might pass, but it's to me, it's really bad. Second one from Nano Banana, we get a little better with the facial features, but same thing, text that makes no sense in the background. The kids and the dad are wearing the wrong kind of kandora. Khaliji, but not Emirati. The boys are a little better. They have the head wrap, which is good, the ghatra. The woman is wearing a style of abayas that was just trendy in the early 2000s. It's not trendy anymore, sorry. And the Della also, we don't have golden Dellas, that's so old. You'd find them in the gift shops, but they don't exist anymore. I'll give you another chance. Let's do the next one. Can you tell me what's wrong with this one? This is from Runway, one of the most popular platforms to generate videos. This is my answer. All of it. We have a man wearing a veil on his head, half kandora, half pants. Let's take it back. The women are wearing the men's ghitra on top of their head. The son is wearing something on his head. I don't know. All of it is wrong to me. The house doesn't look like our houses. The people don't look like our people. I tried again with Gemini because I thought it gave me the best results. We're getting there, right? They look more realistic. It looks more realistic. But still, I can see things that are wrong with it. The men's thing is a combination of the two styles, the ghitra ni'gal and the sama on top of his head. The girl is wearing a different style of kandora that is not Emirati. The seats were getting there, but the style of embroidery isn't Emirati. So those are things you might not spot. I tried one third time, but this time I gave reference images and I gave an outfit, I gave shoes, and I think this is closer to what my uncle and my aunt look and their kids. They're wearing proper kandoras and proper shoes. It's still not there, but I just wanted to give an example of how when we don't give the right data, it would give us messed up results. And this inspired me to create the company I just started. It's only a few months old, called AI Marathi, focused on creating data sets rooted in our culture. So audio, videos, pictures. And at the same time, we produce content for you. So we work on things that are culturally rooted. Because I notice, again, all the billboards on the street, they don't look like us. But now that we got the visuals done, I want to transition to the language. I did a little experiment on social media with a deepfake of myself. I guess I revealed it now. I shouldn't have. That I posted, and I want you guys to watch it and tell me if you can tell it's me or not, because I've spoken for the last 3 minutes, so you could tell how I speak English.
Everyone, I don't usually post videos like this, but I've seen some things online about me that got me thinking. Just a quick reminder, don't believe everything you see, because as you can see, I can be anyone. But you know what's funny? This isn't even me. The video you are watching is AI generated too. I used a combination of my images, videos, and voice recordings to generate what you are watching. Was I able to fool you?
I cannot speak with a straight face like that. I created this video a year ago, so things have gotten better. This is my couch at home, but this is not me. I used a combination of my images and videos that exist online already, fed it into a website online, so no code was involved, at least nothing I coded, and produced this video. And it was part of a program I was with CNN, and hopefully you'll see it on CNN soon. But we did a whole experiment of how I can use anyone's images online and turn you into a deepfake. It went viral, and 97% of the people who watched it believed it was real, including my parents and my sisters, which is really sad. And I think a lot of people think I speak a perfect American accent. I don't. So this is why I think it's important. We need to. There's two sides of it. When we're trying to produce images and videos, it's important we have the right data for ads, for, I don't know, next thing you know, you're calling on the phone, the hospital, the government, whatever it is. We want to make sure what you're listening to is truthful. And at the same time, if I want to create an avatar of myself someday, I would love for it to look more like me. And I don't want people to be fooled, but at the same time, if I want to fool them, I want it to be realistic. So these are just a short example of if we give the right data and we give the right information, we can produce good things with AI. Not good, but necessarily accurate and authentic. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fatma, for those visuals. I think you stunned most of us, but let's wait and see what's going to happen in the next 10 years for deepfake. It should be interesting. Mikey, tell me about algorithms. When algorithms dictate what content we see, as you said, sometimes it's not really amazing, quote unquote garbage. How can we ensure that Arabic cultural narratives are not overshadowed or misrepresented?
I think, I mean, the way I think about it and the way I think my team thinks about it is like sort of building from the ground up. And so I think the first thing that we do is we try to deconstruct that idea of like quote unquote Arab narratives, right? Because that suggests a monolith. That suggests like a really easy, simple story that that we should be trying to replicate. That the first response from ChatGPT or the first 10 hits on Google should tell this like perfect, fully comprehensive story about this place. And this place is complicated. And we should be celebrating that complexity and complexity is a nice word. I'd say celebrating these contradictions. We should be celebrating and looking at like how complex and contradictory can the Arab world's heritage or history, um, how we can represent in that way. It's like this MC Escher painting. It just doesn't make sense if we try to tell the history of this place or talk about the culture of this place. Even a place that is, even if you make it small, even if you say, okay, we're going to try to tell the history of I don't know, the history of Baghdad. Like forget even the history of Iraq, the history of Baghdad, and then the history of like one neighborhood of it, and then the history of one neighborhood, one century. It's like it just becomes really, really complicated. So when we try to tell the story, we try to tell it internally. Is every single level of projection complex and contradictory? Is the algorithm going to pick it up? Is it going to celebrate that level of complexity? Probably not. Probably not. It's going to, tell very simple stories very, very, very loudly. What we try to do as a community and as a movement is we try to convince the people in our community not to fall for that simple story, not to fall for the idea of quote unquote authenticity or of, singular anything. Like what it looks like. I'm from Lebanon. What it looks like to be a Lebanese person, y- y- you know, you could say, oh, there's a national dress in Lebanon, but that's not really true. There are Sri Lankans and Filipinos and Armenians, and there are, like Ethiopians. There's a million type of Lebanese. Like we're complicated, and so that idea of simplicity and promoting one story and making sure that it's the first hit on Google is not as interesting as, hey, actually, it's a lot more complicated, and let's tell a really diverse story, and not be so focused on it being dominating. Like dominance maybe isn't the end goal. Do you know what I mean? How do we actually get there? I think part of it is just to like detach ourselves from this idea of dominance. Like we look at the West and we say the West is dominating us. And our response oftentimes is, "Lada, we need to dominate them. We need to take their playbook and do the exact same thing back to them." This is a fool's errand, I think. I think what we should be doing is saying, "Okay, that playbook ends really destructively. Let's not do that playbook. Let's celebrate the complexity of this place. Let's try to tell a lot of different stories and allow for space for a lot of different stories and not necessarily need to win, dominate. Number one, we need to, it doesn't work. And I think the project of modernism has proven that. The reason why we're at a festival that's talking about the problems of the future is because we've created so many problems. Modernism has created so many problems. And now we're trying to like scratch our heads and say, oh my God, how do we go back and fix all these? So maybe like let's go back to the root cause and say maybe domination isn't what we should be chasing here. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's me.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to Yara. We're going to talk about bias and identity, following up on Mikey. Many AI models still struggle to process Arabic dialects and cultural idioms. What are the risks when algorithms flatten these differences, and how can we protect linguistic identity?
Definitely, like what Mikey said, the Arab world is much more complex in culture, in every single characteristics it has, whether we're looking at regions or countries or even cities. And the Arabic language actually portrays that very well, because Arabic is not a language, it's a macro language. It has 30 plus varieties within it. I don't know if we can show the um, presentation. And now it's many people are actually wanting to learn more about our world and our culture. And if we try to put all of these 30 plus varieties, whether we're talking language or even cultural differences, and put them under one model, you are not just mistranslating, you are actually erasing identities, memories, experiences, those individuals, the history of the place, the regional memory in general. And that's why we need to be working on all of these different dialects, all of these different cultural differences. And that's what in NaTakallam we have many Arabic native speakers teaching Arabic language, but not one Arabic language. We have the Syrians, Lebanese, Jordanians, Palestinians. We have Egyptians, Yemenis. Many of these teach their native, their Arabic language, but their dialect, what we call dialect. It's just a spoken language within the language itself. And they teach them their culture. They build this bridge with the people to understand that those are different. I can't say that people, just because they come from, yes, we have a lot of similarities and we should appreciate our similarities and love those. And that's what unites us as humans. We all have similarities. But at the same time, we shouldn't erase the individuality of each one of us and the culture behind each one of us, what we've lived through. And with this growing market of people trying to know more about Arabic and to know about Arabic language and culture, we need to present, like, we need to put all of these details into AI, into the architecture of AI, in the design and the development. We can't just translate from English. And unfortunately, this happens, as Mikey said, this happens a lot with technology. When it comes, if you want to do a quick Google search of anything in Arabic, you type in Arabic, the results you see are very different than the results if you type the same keywords in English. And so we cannot fit Arabic into an English-centered system. Arabic is a very rich culture, very rich language. So whenever we are trying to build something new, we need to build it learning from Arabic, not the other way around. It's not that we need to chisel this down to fit that system. We need to make the system actually very representative of this culture. One more thing. So with NaTakallam, Arabic is at the core of NaTakallam. That's how we started. That's how NaTakallam started. And that's why when we create our programs with NaTakallam, we have different programs. We have cultural exchange, refugee voices, people telling their stories of displacement and sharing their experiences with people from all over the world, changing stereotypes, changing the way people look at those marginalized voices. Those people don't hear those stories, those experiences. But when they do, they change the way they think about them. We raise awareness about conflict and political and socioeconomic situations and issues in the region. And that creates connection, that creates relationship. I can feel the other person. The same way when we, personally, I was part of the group of Syrian displaced people who worked on creating Arabic for professionals that dealt with diplomats, with humanitarian workers, with healthcare professionals, learning Arabic, but learning Arabic from the experience of these people that made the content. We didn't make the content by translating it from English. We created it from the experiences we had with NaTakallam. So those people helped a lot with making the learning real, not transactional. We're not just giving information. It's more about giving and taking, learning from each other.
There's a flow, kind of, when you were speaking about the human interaction. It was so beautiful because when people learn face to face, they learn more and celebrate more about that culture. So thank you so much for sharing that, Yara. Fatma, I'd like to turn to you. Let's talk about youth empowerment. Many young Arabs are curious, but they're cautious about AI. What advice would you give them on embracing AI as a partner for creativity rather than a replacement for human potential?
I wish I knew the answer for that because I'm still trying to navigate how can I use it without letting it take over my brain. As I mentioned in the earlier question, I'm very optimistic about AI. It's just my tech background, but it's hard to encourage people to use it without warning them of the consequences of using it. I noticed over time I was depending on it on everything, to the point that like a friend would send me a message and I want to respond with like happy birthday or something, and I would ask ChatGPT, how can I say happy birthday in like a polite way but not too enthusiastic? Like it's we're depending on it too much. So I wish I knew the answer to that. But something that I wish more younger people and society in general saw about AI is seeing it as a tool for cultural preservation. So when we collect our data, when we preserve it, we're being part of cultural preservation that's happening in our country. Now something I'm doing with my family is collecting papers we have at home, books, spoken stories from my grandparents, recipes, things like that, and feeding them into systems that my little cousins know how to use, like ChatGPT and Gemini, and asking questions about it, having it narrated to us, creating videos from it, photos. I think the tool could be used more deeply and more authentically if we give it the right data and we give it the right resources, as I mentioned in the previous answer. So I would love for you to see it as a tool, not necessarily a superpower, as we said, but a tool to not just accelerate change in their societies and help with their homework or assignments or emails, but a way to connect more deeply with their family, with their culture, to understand poetry, to understand books. I think sometimes we don't have, in this time, we don't have a lot of time to spend with our families to ask the right questions or to understand things, but we could potentially use AI to help us bridge the gap between different generations in our families and also between different, historical eras of our country or our society.
We can use AI as a tool to preserve our history, preserve our society, and also celebrate it.
That's what we're trying to do right now with AI Marathi, but hopefully once we figure it out, we can kind of scale that framework to other cultures too, because I think there's so much fun. It's just trying to find out how can we do it correctly and ethically without messing up our existing history. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fatma. Mikey, now AI can be used for various different things, especially as a tool for knowledge. Could AI, artificial intelligence, could AI enhance how Afikra archives, shares, or even generates dialogue around Arab intellectual history?
You got it. You landed the plane. Sure. I think so. I mean, we try to use it a lot, as much as is possible and sort of ethical. As I said in the first answer, I don't think we're there yet. Um, like I'll tell you a story. We were developing these presentations that all of our organizers around the world who want to host events can use. And after the passing of Ziad Rahbani, a lot of people were interested in doing these events to celebrate his life and his work. And so we're like, okay, amazing. Let's really quickly, let's put together a presentation that's like a brief overview of one of his classic albums. Great, amazing. Type into Gemini, this is exactly what I want. I want you to develop a 20-slide presentation about Ziad Rahbani's work and legacy and the Kifak Inta album. And like 60% of it was just wrong. Like just straight up wrong. Like Ziad Rahbani was born in Damascus on 1922. Like just straight up wrong. And that type of hallucination happens all the time. And as I said, like those are unintentional, but there are a lot of very intentional, deceiving things that fall into our subconscious. And some of them are like this idea, like what I was saying, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this idea of simplicity. Like going back to this idea, like this is what a Lebanese person looks like. This is what a Lebanese person sounds like. Like a really simple story, like pre-AI story. Like, have you ever noticed like a lot of Christmas music sounds the same? And the idea of Christmas music all sort of is the same genre, like Frosty the Snowman and Santa's Coming to Town. Like they all kind of sound the same. And the reason why they all kind of sound the same is just is tied to the music industry and tied to like when a lot of like gramophones got sold and TV commercials became popularized. And so like the American Christmas song, obviously people have been celebrating Christmas for 2000 years. In 1843, nobody was singing Frosty the Snowman, right? But the idea of like when that was codified, this is what Christmas sounds like, is tied directly to how media broadcasted that message. And so now, 70 years later, we still think it sounds like that and looks like that. And it's because we've simplified it and narrowed it. So like people in St. Petersburg they don't care about Frosty the Snowman, but their version of Christmas music we don't talk about anymore. Right? They're not part of. If you type into Spotify, I want to listen to Christmas music, I guarantee you're not listening to any Armenian music from Russia, right? Like that's not what's coming up. And so, but that is obviously Christmas music. This is a silly example, but it like it comes to a broader point. Is like what are we promoting? And so there are a lot of people who are doing that work to sort of diversify these different messages. Is AI going to be the thing that does it? I don't think so, because AI's full function is to like get you an answer really, really quickly. Like this is the top result. It doesn't even tell you the other results. Like Google was bad because nobody went to the second page, but at least you saw 10 results, right? Now it's just like, this is Christmas music. Like this is Arab culture. This is what an Arab looks like. This is what an Arab sounds like. So that's like structurally and fundamentally really, really dangerous. I don't know how to get around it.
Thank you, Mikey. Yara, I want to ask you about empathy in tech. Because while you're speaking in the second answer, it really showed an empathetic kind of way of looking at language, how we can understand each other better, even through technology and AI. Specifically, your platform, NaTakallam, places empathy at the core of learning. In an AI driven world that can feel impersonal, how do we keep compassion and human stories central to digital experiences?
Well, definitely empathy comes from presence, from hearing someone's story, knowing what they've been through, knowing how their life is like or what's going on with them. You create that, you build that bridge, the relationship starts. And those type of things should stay at the core of learning. Unfortunately, I agree with what Mikey was saying. We are losing parts of our humanity into those simplest forms, into those we like to call them stereotypes, whether they are intentional or unintentional. Both ways they are changing who we are at the core, and at the core we're all human. um so it's important to keep that empathy. AI can give us many things, can give us a lot of support and help, but it cannot give us that empathy. It cannot give us that human factor. Those stories you hear, what has happened with that, and the tone, the metaphor, how we use certain expressions. For example, in English, you would say it's a piece of cake. In Arabic, we say شربت ماء, which is like drinking water. That's how easy it is. So this is the difference, is those ways, those different ways, they show something about the person, and you cannot learn them by just going into a certain algorithm cannot portray that. And I'm sure that what I've just said in Arabic, شربت ماء, can be different from one country to another. Maybe in a different country they don't use that expression, they use a different expression. And knowing all of these differences can help a lot. And as an instructor, as a teacher myself, working with NaTakallam, I've got the privilege to actually work with a lot of amazing people around the world, and to share the part of the story from my end about Syria, to talk about the history, to talk about not just Arabic culture in general, to talk about how certain things we say in Syria in particular, in Damascus in particular. And that's different because when I moved to Abu Dhabi, now I meet new words, and I am learning new words, although I speak the language, but I am learning the new words. So we need to preserve that human part, that human component. We need to preserve it, because it will give us a lot, much a better future to look at. Because we want to build the future that we're all equal, we're all heard, we're all understood, not just put into a certain mold and like, you are an Arab, so you are this, and that. No, I am a person. The session in NaTakallam in particular, and how a learning session, in my opinion, should be, is not just language instruction. I'm not just going in there saying, put this here, conjugate that there, and that's it. Because I taught you structure. but it is an actual, you are meeting a human being who has memory, who has culture, who has identity. And once you connect with that human being, the learning process becomes much easier, much more fun, at least.
Thank you so much, Yara. Before we go, I want to ask you all one question, and I need it in a very brief sentence. Tell me about the golden rule of AI and culture. So, if you could embed one golden rule into every AI system to ensure it respects, uplifts Arabic identity and culture, what would it be?
Um, I'll mention something we talked about earlier. If I could teach it one thing, to never flatten a culture. Always tell me that there's more to learn about it and lead me to the right resources to learn about it. So don't just give me information and end it there. So never flatten a culture.
I would say like if there were just limits on how many questions you could ask per day, like maybe 5 per day, بكفي. I think that's enough.
I would definitely say protecting diversity, and whether we're talking about culture or linguistic diversity, we definitely need to protect that. As Fatima said, we need to be asking questions. We need to know more. Don't tell me that's all of it. We need to know more.
Thank you all so much. It has been truly an enlightening session. I learned so much. I hope you all learned as much as we did and enjoyed this amazing session with these wonderful panelists.